I have a dilemma today. See, y'all want a video and my son wants to go outside and play. So the point of today's lesson, and especially with me coming outside, is to demonstrate to you guys that you don't have to be locked inside of those four walls in order to get better. You can get outside of those four walls. If you need to spend more time with your kids, you can still do that and find time to practice. You may have to put your bass down or your instrument down at some point, but still you can get out and bring your instrument into your environment. Trust me, there's more inspiration outside of those four walls anyway, so find a way to make it work. So I'm gonna try to do this today. We're gonna try to do this lesson outside, and we're gonna try to let him play while we do this lesson. So stay tuned. All right, welcome back to another episode of Jermaine Morgan TV. As you can see, as I said earlier, we are outside today. Nevertheless, we're gonna get right into this lesson. So I checked out you guys' comments on the last video, and I appreciate you for commenting and letting me know that you were definitely digging the playing more aggressive video that I talked about. If you haven't seen that, I will link that video to this video so you can go back and check that and find out more about what we're talking about in depth. So what I wanted to do with this lesson, somebody also requested, and I read your comment, could I play the Jaguar bass on this particular lesson? And I did. I heard you, I read, and I brought the Jaguar bass back out to play it. This is by Squire, by the way. No, I do not endorse Squire, I endorse Warrior basses. But by popular demand, I brought out the Jaguar again. Okay, so we were dealing with playing the song. Some of you noticed what the song was, Better Than Life. I can't remember who the original artist for that song is, but yeah, it's a song, definitely a gospel song that we've played many times. And I was demonstrating the two ways that you could approach it, by playing it with the bare minimum, that type of thing, and then by getting a little more, digging in a little bit more, playing more aggressive, and that was moving around a lot more. I won't go into exactly what I did last week. What I'm gonna do in today's lesson is I'm gonna show you some different variations of more aggressive things you can do to add even more to a groove like this. It's the same groove I'm using for the example. I am in the key of C if you wanna jam along with me while we're playing. So get your bass out, let's get into it. as you can hear, you can keep going on and on and on for days with that type of groove, and the possibilities are endless. And some of the things I was doing with that particular groove, I was playing because I had so much open space. Like in a groove like that where you're playing like over the one, you got so much open space to the biggest thing about it is kind of knowing where you're going and being able to lead into that next thing, being able to fill up that space as far as being aggressive. So I know I was going to that flat 7 there, and then to that 6. So I can lead into that, like I made my line lead. And that's all I did as far as that line. So again, it's and I just basically made that lick lead into the next chord that was coming up. When you are being aggressive, you definitely have to know what's coming up next, even to be able to substitute certain things, knowing what will work over certain chords. Now, as far as the substitution piece, I won't spend too much time getting into that today because that's a whole nother conversation when you start dealing with substitutions. So it's definitely stuff like that you can use. And another thing that I do, I like kind of, when we're playing in that C, you got that open E. You know, that type of thing where you got the move that we normally do. You can use that anywhere on the bass, where we go 1, 3, 6, flat 5, 5. It's a very common move that we use in a lot of grooves. I mean, you heard Jocko using it years ago. Heard Jamerson using moves like that for years, so it's a really common move. But instead of going an octave up, we can go that octave down because we have that open E available to us. You play it that way. I'll play it with the open A as well. Whatever's more comfortable. And that's another way you can approach the groove. Just have something simple yet repetitive, but it keeps the groove moving. So So that gives you some ideas of some different things you can do to keep it more aggressive. Remember, at the end of the day, being aggressive is all about keeping the groove going, making sure you're pushing that groove exactly where it needs to go, and you know exactly where the groove is going, and you can pick your licks, pick your lines, your substitutions, and everything around that when you know where it's going. And so that's really the basis of everything that I'm talking about, and everything else I'm just kind of building it around that minor and major pentatonic because I know the progression of this particular groove. So I know that sounds more dominant. So those double stops and stuff like that, all of that stuff works in being aggressive. And so getting in and getting out is another thing. I said this on last week, being aggressive is not necessarily being busy throughout the entire song. So the art to being aggressive is knowing how to do it and not be too busy. It's about knowing how to get in and get out and pick your spots, find your moments. Sometimes you can use the bass to kind of carry the whole song. A great example of a song that comes to mind as far as a gospel song for you guys that listen to gospel music is the way that my friend Alan Snoop Evans plays the song Awesome God by Fred Hammond. If you haven't heard that song, take a listen to that song. That song is really bass driven, and he's doing a lot of stuff throughout that song, but it's not too much. It's just him playing aggressive, and it took the song where it needed to go, and everything else was built around that bass line. So when you have opportunities like that in songs, it's not often. As bass players, we do get those opportunities where there's a lot of space where we can kind of fill up some of that space with something funky. It ain't necessarily a line and just ripping through the whole song, but finding a way to make your groove carry the song and being aggressive in doing that, knowing where it's going. So don't just play a line and then you don't know where you're going to end up at. The idea is when you start playing a line, have in mind, if you watch the lesson that we did with Justin Raines a few years ago where I had him to break down 3 of his licks, one of the things he said in that lesson was, when I'm playing a lick or when I'm playing a line, one of the main things I'm thinking about is where I'm headed. What's the next note I'm going to? What's the next chord I'm going to? And that helps you to find a destination point for whatever the line it is you're playing. So when we were playing land, you know, that kind of stuff. So it's basically those things, being aware of where you're going, knowing how to pick your spots in order to get there, and just being aggressive when you do it. So guys, that's pretty much it for this lesson. If you want to know more on this subject, again, comment below, give me your feedback. I love to hear from you guys. I do read the comments. Don't get a chance to respond to them all, but do know that I am reading them. Thank you for watching. I'm out. Hey, thanks for watching today's video, and listen, if you enjoyed the content, click the subscribe button and don't forget to turn on my notifications so you can be notified each week once I post a new video. I really appreciate you guys being here, and check it out. If you want more content like this and if you want to get even more in depth on the bass lessons, remember to head over to JermaineMorgan.net. There I have many more bass lessons. I talk a little bit more in depth on some of these subjects that we've covered here on YouTube, and I also have music. Most of you don't know, but I am an artist as well, so I do have music available there if you want to hear me really play. I have music there, so check it out, and I will see you guys on next week. Thank you. I'm out of here.